All right, everyone, we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Um, I want to thank New Hope Cathedral for allowing us to host this very important forum today on sex trafficking. And first, I want to invite up the pastor of this house, Pastor Leapart, to lead us in a word of prayer.
Good morning, grace and peace to everybody from God our Father. Let us pray. Most eternal God in heaven, we thank you for your grace and for your mercy. We thank you for this day that you saw even before the foundation of the earth. Now, Father, we ask that you ask your blessings upon our commissioner, his wife, and all of the speakers that will present today. Continue to give them foresight and insight. And Father, we pray covering, blood covering over all of those that have been affected by the trafficking. And God, so we bless you. We ask a blood covering over our state, over our county and our nation. And we bless you this morning. In Jesus' name, amen.
Is Sergeant Rotello around? He was just on the stage a couple of minutes ago. So we're going to start off with Sergeant Rotello. Just to let everybody know, he's been up all night dealing with a homicide in South Henry County, along with our other presenter, Officer James Joy. Sergeant Rotello will be talking about sex trafficking in Henry County and the FBI Match Task Force that it has been organized to try to put a stop to sex trafficking in our community. So we're just waiting on Sergeant Rotello to come out, and we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you. So if you're watching this on Facebook, please like and share the page. We need as many people as possible educated on this issue. So I see Sergeant Rotello is here, and I want to welcome him up.
Thank you very much. Appreciate everybody that was able to be present today and everybody watching at home. My name is Stephen Rotella. I'm a sergeant with the Henry County Police Department Special Victims Unit. And one of our focuses for the last 5 years has been human trafficking. The last time I had the privilege to speak at the church here, we were in the process of trying to expand our reach and expand our resources to help the victims in all the communities that we service. And I'm proud to announce that myself, I have one of my partners with me, Sergeant Bess Barr, and Investigator Joy should be here momentarily, along with Detective Joe Mahar. We are now part of the federal task force called MATCH, and its goal in breathing, waking times is to help victims of human trafficking. So that was a very big step for us to get that privilege to be involved with that resource. Sergeant Barr and Investigator Joy are on our quality of life unit, and they are a proactive unit. And both Sergeant Barr and Investigator Joy are well known for their proactivity and passion in this field also. And what we will do is we will divide ourselves between the sex trafficking and prostitution and the child stalking and child abduction, and come together as one group with the FBI and the U.S. Marshals to try and combat this a little better. So we're very proud of this and just glad to be able to come and bring more light to the situation again this year in 2021. Started off on a positive note and help push forward to keep our community safe. Sergeant Ball, would you like to come up and say a few words and introduce yourself?
So Dr. Rotello, I mean, not doctor, I'm thinking about COVID, but Sergeant Rotello, can you discuss the incidence of sex trafficking in Henry County? I know in the past, a lot of people have talked about there being a lot of issues with some of the hotels on 138. Is that still an issue in Henry County?
The 138 corridor that we share with Clayton County has always had its issues here and there. With 2020 being the year of COVID, we had a decrease in a lot of stuff, and we weren't seeing as much activity, but due to the need of the community with everything else, we couldn't be as proactive as we wanted. Now, with the addition of quality of life and being on the Marshals Task Force, our goals are to start doing details and being more proactive in the corridor. I'm proud to say that as it stands right now, from the last time I was here, we've only had one human trafficking recovery, and it was not a Henry County resident. This was a lady out of Arizona. So we were able to help that. Our traffic units have all taken in-house human trafficking classes. They've been giving little crib sheets to understand on a traffic stop to look for indicators. What if it doesn't look right, something's wrong, and to go beyond the regular traffic stop, beyond the ticket, to ask questions, to be more observant, and then if they feel that they have something, to contact myself, contact Sergeant Barr, Investigator Joy, Detective Mahar, have us come out, because we have more training than that, and just to work to continue to combat it and keep it out of Henry County. And we've been very successful at something I'm very proud of, and the department's very proud of, that we've been able to keep it at bay. Now we're going to the next level, which is going to be extreme proactivity and really hunting for it, and not just hoping we find it or hoping a traffic stop yields it. Plus, the normal program in special victims is when we have the runaway juveniles, we will do forensic interviews. We will involve DFACs and do CHINS reports. Any resource that we can use to speak to the youth and find out, hey, are you running away because you're just being an angsty teen, or is something else going on? Detective Mahar's specialty is internet crimes against children and all digital forensic media. So when a parent calls us and say, hey, my daughter returned home or my son returned home, we'll start asking the questions. Was there anything different? Did you see any kind of weird activity now? Do you have their phone? Would you want us to look at their phone? Hey, you want us to look at their computer? And we try and get that rapport with the parents, and it allows us to get a deeper look into why they're doing what they're doing. Are they being solicited online? Social media is a danger zone, because there's so many social media apps and so many social media platforms that allow the predators to disguise themselves. And the predators are experts at what they do in getting to our children. They look for the insecurities in the posts, and then they do the things that make a young teen feel good. But, oh, you're so pretty, or you're such a great athlete, or, hey, we should go out, I'll take you shopping. And we're looking for all these buzzwords that are going into conversations, and we're tracking the accounts on Facebook, on Instagram, all these different things. And like I said, now that the unit is expanding and is going to give us more tools through the task force, and having two incredible people that are part of that team, we're going to be able to do a lot more. So the possibilities are endless, and if we can continue to expand and we can continue to build both units, there's no limit to what we can do.
One more question. With regards to this region being, I think it's the top region in the country for trafficking, can you discuss the coordination between the metro area counties, Henry, Clayton, Fulton?
Well, up until I believe 2020, Clayton County was also on match, and Metro Atlanta has different agencies that are involved in match. And the way the resource works is this: if we're doing a detail, we've done our homework, we've done the surveillance, we see the activity, what we'll do is we'll reach out to Clayton or another county that has task force agents, and what we'll do is we'll put together an operation, and it helps us with the manpower. Plus, we get our federal contacts to become involved. So what happens is we're 4 people doing surveillance. Well, now we feel that we have enough for an op, we call for help. Now we're 20 people involved in the operation, and it allows us to do so much more. We're lucky that we're able to get a lot of cooperation from some of the hotels that allow us to operate in that area and do what we do. So each county that we can work with is always, it's a blessing, and the manpower is a great thing. The hub is Atlanta. You've got all the interstates that in across there. You've got the major trucking industries that are coming through here from all over the place, plus the major sporting events, all the different things that go on. COVID changed the game because we're not having major sporting events. We're not having large gathering events that would bring these sellers of our kids to Atlanta for the events and to operate under the guise of everything going on. When you have a large event for sports, something to that effect, like the Super Bowl, there are so many out-of-town people, it is easy to blend in. They become one with the environment because they're not a standout. Super Bowl's in town. Who's from Arizona? Who's from North Carolina? Who's from Alabama? Who's from Florida? So the flags we would get normally, you have to have a little bit of discretion in what you're doing because you have a major sporting event attracting these crowds. Now with COVID, that knocked that down a little bit, but we're still going to see the transporting through the states. There's always going to be a buyer's market for it, which is the sad part. But we're getting hip to what they're doing now and trying to figure out the right ways to intercept it, intercede, get the victims to a safe place, and prosecute.
Has there been any documented trafficking in our county? No documented traffic. You talked about transporting children. I'm assuming down I-75. How are these kids usually transported?
You're looking at multiple methods, and my partner in crime here will describe one of the particular methods that she is so passionate and came up with so much information and has done so much to combat. What you'll have is, the best example is the pimp that has the juveniles, maybe in a rental car, maybe in their own car, driving through, trying to make it look like a normal family outing, friends hanging out, and try to blend in like that. But again, there's certain indicators. It's January in Georgia, 30 degrees is cold. What are the girls wearing? Why are these particular females with this particular gentleman? It doesn't look like a father or boyfriend or cousin. You have to read all these things. There's so many different indicators. And like I said, that's where our traffic units are key to us in it, because what they'll do when they do a traffic stop, they know the indicators, they observe the indicators, and then they start making the phone calls to us. And like I said, the one recovery we had was somebody from another state transported here, and thankfully we had a working relationship with Match. We were able to contact our agent, and within 2 hours that agent was there. This guy was in jail, this victim was being helped and being brought to like a rehab facility. to move forward with her life. And we've been very lucky with it. There's been a lot of runaways reported. I know that there was a group of 3 girls who were in the care of another facility that were not Henry County residents and visited here. They ran away from here because they had an opportunity to get away. And that started the process of, hey, we've got what we call a 56 or missing person, and we put out the bulletin. We call the FBI. This is what we have. They are at high risk because they're already in a care facility for this type of activity. And like I said, we get the help from the surrounding counties and from the feds, and it helps. It makes a difference. Resources are everything, and having the ladies in pink boots on the ground as a resource is amazing for us, because they can find things that we can't, and when they're with us or when they're doing their thing on the street, the credibility they have because of the experience, and you can see the passion that they bring forward is amazing. And that's going to make the difference when talking to the victims, that street credibility and that understanding. So that's where we're at.
Thank you so much. Give Sergeant Rotello a round of applause. We're still waiting on Officer Joy, who's going to give us an update on prostitution in Henry County. But again, these guys have been out for the last 24 hours, haven't had any sleep, doing a homicide investigation on the south side of the county. So when you talk about service, that is service. Officer, did you have anything to say? Okay.
Well, there we go. All right, we in. Sergeant Ball with the Henry County Police Department. Have been policing for about 25 years. Started in Atlanta, so in reference to you talking about Fulton Industrial, I'm very familiar with what's going on. I'm new to the division as far as the SOD, which is Special Operations Division, so I'm looking forward to doing whatever it is that we need to do, excuse me, to cure or curb or to eliminate this issue that we have going on. I do not have statistics because, like I said, I'm brand newly to the division as far as match, but I've been working with this gentleman for years, so my passion is his passion. So I'm really excited and looking forward to, you know, jumping head first and trying to, you know, contain this thing.
So as you see, we have some great law enforcement personnel in Henry County. Actually made this. Oh, have a question from Miss Mary Ann Calhoun of Wolf Wolf.
That you all can go, because we have limited warrantless arrests to go into those homes, and I just feel like they need to be a part of what you all are doing on your task force.
We work pretty well with probation and parole, and we do utilize that resource when we're looking for certain things. If we believe that someone that is on probation or parole and has the proper documentation that allows probation and parole to go in the house, if we say get an internet hit because they're uploading and downloading questionable material, and or we get an anonymous tip, of course we will involve probation and parole immediately, because it helps us get where we need to go faster. As far as the task force, it is by an invite of the the FBI. They have to basically approach you, and they have a limited number of spots, and what they do is they look for the departments that are proactively trying to do like what we've been doing for the last 4 years, and then they say, we want to bring you in and we want to do that. I'm sure in some of the other counties there are people on probation and parole. We just literally Friday. Got the official, we're on the task force. We're waiting for our paperwork to go through. And then when we get the first task force meeting, we'll get a better roll call of things and we'll know more.
My next question is, I would like to know, I know what we're doing for the offenders. I see what you guys are saying that you're doing for the offenders, but what are you doing to help the victims when...
Mary, so let's do this. So what we usually do, we get through all the presentations, and after Kim speaks, I'm sure everybody's gonna have a lot of questions, so sorry about that. So Officer Joy just showed up, and he's gonna give you an update on prostitution in our area. Good seeing you.
Good morning. My name is James Joy. I work for the Henry County Police Department. I also work for a unit called the Quality of Life, which is a catch-all unit. What we do is we handle all the major crimes within Henry County. I'm also assigned to the FBI task force that deals with human sex trafficking and prostitution as well. That's a little bit about what I do. This year, we plan on doing prostitution and hitting it hard, obviously, with sex trafficking as well. We do have a major prostitution cases out here in Henry County, more towards the Stockbridge area, but obviously we're working on the other side of things, obviously, when it comes to sex trafficking as well. We work hand in hand with the FBI as well. Like I said, I'm assigned to that task force as well. So anytime there's anything involving sex, prostitution or sex trafficking, I'm automatically aware of it. And usually me and my guys on my team, we actually handle it from there. So that's just a little bit about me and what I do, my position at the police department. If you guys have any questions, like I say, I answer all those questions that you guys have from there.
So we're gonna hold all questions to the end.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you so very much.
Yes, sir.
And you can just go ahead and have a seat. And again, we have a wonderful public safety personnel, and they do a phenomenal job here in Henry County, keeping crime low. So my next guest is Miss Kim Crawford of Pink Boots, and if you were here last year, you would know that she's a phenomenal speaker. Kim is on the ground fighting against sex trafficking. She is probably the first face you see when you Google people out here trying to stop this horrible crime. So I am so happy and honored to have Kim here. She's going to be share a wealth of information with you. She's going to blow your mind, and she'll have all of us ready to go out and fight against sex trafficking after this meeting is over. So Kim.
Hello, hello, thank you. Let's everybody give ourselves a hand for showing up for our community this morning. And my backyard is Henry County, but my house is in Clayton County. Isn't that weird? So I'm a resident of both, I say. I have passion, and I'd like to introduce you to my co-founder, Siobhan Fleming. She's my sister, and we founded this together. Our coordinator, Natisha Knox. Pink Boots on the Ground was born out of 15 survivors that started something called the Power Panel, because we wanted to share our stories. We wanted to free ourselves from bondage of sexual assault, human trafficking. We even have cancer and lupus survivors. However, we wanted to help other women free themselves from bondage through their voices, because you've been told so much as a woman, shh, don't tell that story. Your shame is not your fame. Your story is your fame. Your destiny is not based off of your past. Your destiny is based off of your future and what you make it. As far as Officer Patello and the Match Task Force, when we were introduced to the FBI and their Match Task Force, it reminded me of one thing. If we learned anything from the missing and murdered children, is that the counties and the agencies did not communicate with each other. They didn't pass information along to each other. So when Taylor Dervish, our FBI shero, told us about the Match Task Force, it made me smile. It made me happy, because I knew that every county, this is a huge community, 12 metropolitan counties, and if they all work together, or at least most of them, then the information will get shared, and we won't have so much slipping through the cracks. So the Match Task Force is an incredible achievement for Georgia, and I'm so glad that Henry County was able to get on it. Pink Boots on the Ground was formed because we had the power panel one day, and nobody knew what we were going to do there. Nobody understood it. I couldn't verbalize what I was visualizing. I knew I wanted to tell my story, and I wanted people to understand what it's like to be traumatized by sexual abuse and assault, and how it changes your mind forever. Your innocence is stolen and it's never returned. You know, you can't be a child anymore. And when this is happening to so many people, so many women, and nobody's talking about it, you can't be the woman God wants you to be. You cannot be the woman that God wants you to be when you're poisoned by so much evil. So I had to release that, and when we did, I woke up that night and I said, we need to start putting pink boots on the ground, because we had decided that we were going to enforce House Bill 141. You all have a copy of it. Our senator, our person that has introduced us to the Senate and the whole process of writing legislation is Senator Donzella James, and she is senator of District 35. She's the mother of human trafficking, and she has actually brought us into the state Senate and allowed us to receive 2 resolutions. We just received a 3rd one. So we have Resolution 499, which was the first one, and it was based off of us putting our boots on pink boots on Fulton Industrial Boulevard. We chose FIB because during my life of crime, I went to FIB. So I felt like I took so much from Fulton Industrial, I need to give something back. So when we went to Fulton Industrial Boulevard, it was like 9 a.m. in the morning, and we were out there in the cold, right, Natisha? And one of our sisters, my Spelman sister, she's a co-creator, and she said, I feel more spirits that I can't see than the ones that I do see. It was so much, it was so heavy on FIB. You had transactions going on at Waffle House. You had vans pulling up on the side by the liquor store. You had the Starship open at 9 in the morning. We went into the Starship. I mean, it was so heavy that we were impassioned. We knew that from this place, we had to leave Fulton Industrial. We had to keep it moving. We had to go from there to the next stop to the next stop, because we are the hub. Now, you know, the folks downtown say that Atlanta's not #1. Okay, we'll go with that. But we are the hub. We are the gateway to the southern seaport. That means that every truck coming from South Carolina, North Carolina, Alabama, Tennessee, anywhere north, south, anywhere north, east, or west, has to come through Atlanta, Georgia to get on 75 South, going to the southern seaport. And a lot of those trucks are not carrying peaches and oranges. They're carrying humans. So when I came to Henry County about 2 years ago, I said to Commissioner Holmes, I said, I'm impassioned about this thing called human cargo, and we want Henry County to stop all the trucks. So I said, we only have 4 people. We can't stop every truck coming through Henry County. But I promised them, if you stop those trucks because of safety, solicitation in truck stops, or speeding, or suspicion, you're going to find more human trafficking victims on the back of those trucks than you would ever imagine. So a year went by, and I talked to Senator James about it, and nobody really wanted to hear about it. So human cargo was kind of just pushed to the back. Then they found 39 people in a truck in Dahlonega. So I called FBI. Taylor, did you see that? Taylor, it's happening here, it's happening. And you know, Taylor is our FBI agent. She's Taylor Dervis, she's head of human trafficking. And she's on it like doggone it. Is she not? She's passionate about what she does. And then Senator James told me right before the elections, she was going out to try to, you know, solicit the people in her district. And there was a U-Haul truck parked in her neighborhood. It was just abandoned there. There were children in the back of that truck. We have human cargo coming through Atlanta. So we wrote a bill called Georgia Against Human Cargo. And Senator James put that bill on the floor, and we had gone through legal at the Senate, at the Capitol. We just knew it was going to pass. And First Lady Kemp decided she had another bill called commercial transportation, and she put a penalty on it. So their bill passed and ours was not passed. It doesn't matter. As long as we have something that says that any tractor trailer, 53-footer, 48-footer reefer coming through here can be checked for humans, and if found, this is what's going to happen to you. Because I'm telling you, they're bringing a lot of humans through our state. You ain't coming through Georgia and getting away with it. We're hip to what you're doing here in Georgia. I wanted to tell you that when Super Bowl came, we put pink boots on the ground with the FBI task force and everybody else. And we walked around and we actually identified some traffickers. So our videographer took some pictures of them. We sent it straight to the FBI. But we could tell that the girls were scared. You can identify who's being trafficked by looking at them. Their eyes are hung low. Their demeanor is sad. You can tell that they're being controlled by someone else. And after that human trafficking incident, and we talked to the FBI, we found out about all the other incidents that happened during the Super Bowl. So yes, when a major sporting event happens, human trafficking soars. However, the COVID pandemic, see, we forget that there was a pandemic before the pandemic. Before we got hit with COVID, human trafficking was running rampant in our state, in our country. There are more people enslaved today in the world than ever before in history. It's a fact. There are more people enslaved today than ever before in history. How is that possible with technology and resources and we just allow it to continue? $350 billion was what they were grossing 2 years ago. Last night I did the research, 475, I said billion. I didn't say million, I said $1 billion. How do you fight something of that magnitude? How do you fight that much money? It's almost impossible. Just think of it. The cartel used to sell cocaine, now the cartel sells humans. You got people sitting in places like Kraft, who's a NFL owner. You can't fight this money, so we came up with Pink Boots, an artificial intelligence application that will change the way that human trafficking victims connect to safety and rescue. See, we level the playing field when we add technology, because everybody has a cell phone, and everybody can use their cell phone. So if we have an app that runs in the back, then the trafficker won't know, and then the person that's using the phone can activate Pink Boots, and it will go to a first responder, a match member, the FBI, whoever. There's going to be several back gates open to this room. So like when you go on the bank your mobile app, when you call the bank, they don't see what you see. They see a whole nother screen. That's the way Pink Boots should be. So we're in the process of development and we're raising money for, it's easier to raise money for a football team than it is to raise money for human trafficking. I'm talking about, I could get 5 people here to give me $10 for a Henry County Rotary high school football team, but I bet you I can't get you to give me $5 for human trafficking. That's how hard it's been to raise money. People don't want to talk about human trafficking until it knocks on their door. Don't wait till it knocks on your door. Help us fight it now. Don't wait till your sister calls you and says your niece didn't come home tonight. Then it's too late. Then you have to deal with the repercussions of all that's going on. And we say, oh, it's never going to happen to us. My sister had a boutique on Highway 5, and she was tracking women that were missing. How many missing women did you find missing in that year? It was in Jonesboro, Georgia. She kept posting them and kept posting. I was like, dang, Siobhan, it's a lot of women that go missing in Jonesboro. These are young girls, high school girls, young women. So if you have in front of you our resolution, 499. We got a new one this year called 432. And then you have House Bill 141. House Bill 141 is supposed to be posted in every strip club, massage parlor, convenience store, gas station, everywhere that is possible. In case you hear something, see something, or know something, you have the information right there in front of you. If a girl is being trafficked and she goes to the bathroom, she should be able to look up and see House Bill 141. When we got on Fulton Industrial, the city had just started putting these up. But this bill had been in effect for 3 years before then. So we go around and we make sure House Bill 141 is put in every gas station, convenience store, whatever area that we choose to do that day. In addition to that, we've also been united with Atlanta Public Schools. We'd like to get Henry County Schools because Atlanta Public Schools, as most public schools are like this, didn't want to talk about human trafficking with their kids. But it's imperative that we talk about human trafficking with these high schoolers. Even middle schoolers. We go into DeKalb County, we talk to 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And the stories we get and how many little girls come up afterward and say that they've been touched. So We talk about human trafficking, which is not just sex trafficking, it is organ harvesting, and it is labor trafficking. And we live in a state that has farms. So we have to be cognizant of the fact that human trafficking entails three things: sex trafficking, organ harvesting, which is becoming more and more popular, and the labor trafficking. It's a fight. It's a heavy fight. It's a burden, but I feel like it's my service as a survivor of sexual assault that I have to put in the work. And you know, our other FBI contact, Michelle, she tells us that, you know, human trafficking is so big that we know we can't stop it. Our job is to mitigate. Our job is to mitigate it. We need to put some distance between those numbers and reality. Like, come on, we can do something about this. If 10 girls are being taken this month, let's make it 7. Let's save 3 of them at least somehow. And information is the key to that. You got to know something in order to do something. Ordinary people get together and pray that extraordinary power is released. We got to pray this thing out of here. We got to work on this together. That's why I'm so happy about the Match Task Force, but I want our community as a whole, like Pink Boots is open to volunteers, we're open to phone calls, we're open to tips, we're open to all of that on our website, on our phone, anytime. We're gonna put Pink Boots on and we'll be there. I tell you, I get real passionate about this. As I said, I'm a survivor. I surround myself with other survivors. We stay in contact with people that need our assistance. You know, COVID changed the way that we operate this year. From April 19th to, when was it, December, the middle of December, we gave away a truckload of product every 2 weeks to the homeless. Every 2 weeks. So we became COVID heroes. But we had to adapt. But while we're out there, our eyes are always open to see if we see anybody that's being trafficked or abused. And we gave away product, we gave away PPE equipment, we gave away food, paper products, but we always have our eyes open to make sure we don't miss the most important part of our mission. Our mission is to save human trafficking victims and disseminate information. Again, I gave you a copy of 499, it's 432. That's all I have for you today. I thank you guys for coming out. Siobhan?
Thank you, Mrs. Crawford. Now we can open it up for questions. Tony.
Good morning. We are going to, Ms. Calhoun has her own microphone. So we're going to go ahead and open it up to questions. What a wonderful and powerful presentation that we just heard. Amazing information. For those of you that are watching on Facebook, definitely share the information, share contact information as much as you can, but definitely a powerful topic. So we're going to go ahead and turn it over to Ms. Calhoun.
I would like to know what is being done more for the victim than for the perp, in such a way when you get with this task force, will there be resources where they will be able to give you money to have more social media, more ways that you can post on TV or commercials to these girls to say, hey, if you're in a situation, this is what we want you to do. Not just a house bill, but more with commercials, more with in the hotels, maybe there's some type of sign, just more stuff that the victims can be able to see how they can get out of this situation. Even on social media, I don't see anything about sex trafficking for the victims on social media, and I'm on there every day.
Yes, check out at the Power Panel. Pink Boots on the Ground is always posting information and seminars and things of that nature. And also on Facebook, we're at the Power Panel and at Pink Boots is also on Facebook. So we put up information, again, like I said, my sister posted something about someone missing all the time. We get a lot of social media hits. Like I had gotten over 12 girls taken off of Candler Road not too long ago. So social media really helps us. And our focus is the survivor, not the perp.
And the other thing is this, Henry County has its own Facebook page where we post our runaways or our missing people to bring attention to it. We team up like with Pink Boots on the Ground. We work with Gigi's House. We work with Haven House. We work with the Southern Crescent Sexual Assault Center. These are the people that are resources. Where can we take the victim? It's not just a matter of, all right, we arrested your pimp. What are we going to do for you? Well, let's get you to a place where you can get a shower and get out of those clothes and get a meal and talk to a counselor. And groups like Haven House help us do this. And we're always looking to expand what we can do, and getting the community involved and having the community bring up things like this. Let's do a fundraiser. You want to do commercials? Help us help you. Because we're going to be out hunting to protect our victims. You guys will be able to bring the resource that we can then bring the victim to you to help them. It's a team effort. We all have to be involved. It can't just be us, and it can't just be you, and it can't just be Pink Boots on the Ground. This is a team sport, and we all need to get on the same playing field and head to the same goal line. So that's where we're at with our resources, and we're always looking to expand.
So we need to be partnering, even if we're not on your task force, we still want to partner with you all so we can get this done.
Then, ma'am, what I will tell you is, first of all, welcome to the team. Before we leave today, we'll exchange information, and we'll see what we can get done together. We take it serious, like myself and Investigator Joy, we've been up 24 hours. And after I finished chasing the person that committed the heinous crime he did, I'm here, and I'll be on call the rest of the weekend, because this is that important to me. Sleep, I'll catch up on. A victim not getting the attention they need, there's no excuse for it. So we're going to do everything we can. And having another group teaming up with us like Pink Boots on the Ground, that's just one more card in our deck, one more thing we can throw down.
I would also, sorry about that, I would also like to recognize Commissioner 2, or District 2 Commissioner.
Good morning, everybody. So first of all, I want to thank Pink Boots on the Ground, our police department, for what you're doing. Thank you to Commissioner Holmes for having this forum. You know, I'm here this morning not only to support Commissioner Holmes, but because I'm very active in the community when it comes to young girls, young men, and I'm concerned. I'm concerned that every year somebody is doing a seminar about human trafficking. I'm concerned that everybody wants to educate us. It hasn't changed. It's the same thing that it has been before, and that it may be getting, more worse. But we're concerned about seeing statistics change. Statistics are changing in the wrong direction. They don't seem to be reducing. I see more people wanting to get into the business of housing these girls and making money. I don't see enough people wanting to educate and stop the process. So I am a member of Wolf Wolf as well. And I say that there are some people that want to make a change. So, the education component, where are we reaching the girls before they get there? So it's always about, they're a victim now. How do I help them? How do I change that around? But how do we start identifying the girls that are possible going to be into that situation? So I think that that's one of the things that we can look at. Start identifying girls that have traits that, or families that have traits that will let us know that they're going there. So I want to know from Pink Boots on the Ground, I know you guys are out there, you're coming in when a victim has been identified, when an issue or problem has been identified, but talk to me a little bit about that other process so that we can get involved on that end. We want to reduce the numbers, and we want to be more active in making sure that the numbers don't continue to grow. So answer that from a community standpoint, how we can do it as women that are, the Wolf Wolf organization, as well as from an elected officials organization. What can we do financial-wise, putting our resources in to make sure that we're identifying potentials.
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Clemens, you know, we are very happy to talk with you at any given time, but we're not a social service organization. We are a preemptive, boots on the ground organization. We disseminate information. We don't house survivors. We refer them out. But our goal, that's why we want the high schools. That's why we're in with it. COVID prevented us from getting into Atlanta Public School this year, but we want to talk to them as they sit in those seats before they get out in the streets and they're vulnerable. So many of them are hurting, are suffering, and want to talk to somebody about it, and it's not their parents they want to talk to. So we think that getting into the schools at the middle school age and the high school age is the appropriate way to reach them before it's too late. Siobhan?
Just to piggyback off of that, our organization is a verb, an action item. We go out there, we put the work in. We don't just sit in the office and, you know, try to look pretty with our pink boots on. We go to Fulton Industrial Boulevard, where they call it the belly of the beast. We go into high traffic areas. We went to the Super Bowl, nothing related to football, but to mitigate against human trafficking. We took a trip to Essence Festival, not for the music and all the fun. We was mitigating against human trafficking, and we need the community. We need resources like you. We need the collaborations. We need the teamwork, because it's so much bigger than us. I'm a big sister in a mentoring program. I talk to young girls every week, and you'd be surprised what these young girls divulge to us that they don't want to, like you said, share with their mothers or in their household. And so it's up to us to be that listening ear when we see that little girl out and about or in our church home or whatnot, to establish these relationships, be that safe haven, so that we can do whatever we can to let her know that she's loved. So she's not looking for love in all the wrong places, so that she's not a victim to a trafficker that comes and tells her all those sweet nothings. And easily taken away, easily pried on, easily to, hey, let me take you to dinner today, by a complete stranger, because he's showing love. So those are just a few of the things that we do. I mean, we could go on and on, but we would love to talk in more detail. Yes, resources are thin, so we need more resources, but the more resources, the more action we can do. The more manpower, the more woman power, the more power, period, so that we can get out there and touch people, reach people, prevent those children from being the next. One other thing, it's not just our girls. Our boys are being trafficked too.
And our transgenders.
Yes. And so we have to not be narrow-minded or tunnel vision to just think our sons, okay? Because like we were saying earlier, human trafficking isn't just sex-related. So we have to be, we need the knowledge, that's essential, so that we know what to even look for. Everyone in here could potentially be a victim just because you're not a little girl. Organ harvesting. Do you know how long the wait list is to get a kidney? So if you have money, that underground market, so you can be going to Walmart one night and get snatched in a white van because we need that kidney. So.
And I'm so glad Siobhan mentioned churches. Like, we're all members of different church homes. I'm a member of Cascade United Methodist, and Siobhan is Maranatha, and we come here to New Hope because they're family too. But, you know, I don't know if anybody saw the movie Trafficked. It was a movie about an actual person that's part of Pink Boots. And she came down and did a seminar with us, and she became a trafficker. She was trafficked and then became a trafficker. It happens a lot. And she would go to churches and watch the young ladies that go to the altar, the ones that have their heads down, the ones that seem like they don't want to be in church. You got to look everywhere, because these people are vicious, they're smart, and they're dedicated.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and turn it over to Ms. Jules. She has a question.
Hi, I'm Jules Wood, and I'm going to ask what I hope is not a stupid question, but I deal in different things in the community. And one of the things that I saw before was a program that dealt with not the victim, but the perpetrator. So what I'm curious about while I'm listening, because everything is being talked about the victim, and I think you need to do something that heals them as well as, you know, identifying people. But is there some type of way of identifying people that may have the potential to be the sex trafficker? That's, or out of the people that you've arrested, is there some?
I am just bad with mics today. I don't know what's going on. Luckily, working with the FBI analysts and the analysts in our department, we look at the trends and we look at the different things on social media to see, for example, have you ever heard the term sugar daddying? Okay. When we found out about sugar daddying, we were able to start putting little things out and talking to people to talk to their children. Just because somebody takes you to get your hair done, or takes you to get your nails done, that doesn't mean they love you. That means they want something from you. And again, it starts in the home. How do you make like for me, I have a 12-year-old. I want my daughter to be powerful and strong and aware, so we do talk. Daddy-daughter time is daddy-daughter time when we talk about everything in the world, to include the dangers in the world. Now, when we arrest somebody, convict somebody, one of two things can happen. They either go to jail and bide their time to get out, or redemption is there for those who seek it. And whether they find it through religion or education, that's up to the individual. Some people are put in a bad position and do bad things and realize this and want redemption. Then again, there's just evil in the world that you can't fix. So we will do our part as far as to stop it. That's where the justice system, the jails, the penitentiaries, that's their thing to do in there. We each have a part to play. It varies. There's, like, they were talking about the cycle. You take a victim of human trafficking who's in the life, and, well, year 1, year 2, they've been there. They've been loyal. Well, they get to move up in the food chain, and they get, to use a term, no, there's children in the room. They use a special term for this person. And instead of them now selling themselves, their job is to recruit, like a pyramid scheme, like back in the day, Amway. They bring them in underneath them, and then they manage them for the pimp. And it goes on, and it goes on, and it goes on. It can happen anywhere. It can happen in Beverly Hills, and it can happen in the Bronx, New York. It doesn't matter. There's no one particular area it comes from. It depends on the person and the evil.
Okay. To answer that question, there are 40,000 people being transported across this nation every month. Across this nation, in the United States alone. And that's an old statistic. COVID has kept our statistics old because nobody's out there checking for them right now. But they move these people across our nation. That's not considering the ones that are taken across international borders. Because containers leave here with people on from the seaports on the California side as well as on the eastern seaboard, going to countries like the Ukraine and coming from countries like the Ukraine. This thing is bigger than us. It's so huge. We can only focus on what we can do to mitigate it here in our area, which is the hub. So we got a lot of work to do right here, but it's happening, and they can be from age 9 to age 29. And then they start, once they're used and abused for so long, then they become programmed and they become the traffickers. It's a vicious cycle.
Thank you. We do have another question here from Ms. Tiffany.
Well, it's not necessarily a question, but I find, you know, like Kim said, before COVID, it was like on the news again. Remember, it was like kind of like, watch out, this is going on, and I found myself scared, right? Because I see it on TV, I see it on the movies. It's never happened to me or anybody close to my circle. But, you know, when they were like talking about it, I'm going outside looking around like, oh my God, like, because I don't know the percentages or the stats, but it's not like people choose, for the most part, to be human trafficked. That's being taken against your will, for the most part. Like you said, it's some people who, you know, move up the chain and they're doing it, you know. but initially, you're taken against your will. You know what I'm saying? So I think, like, in my opinion, you know, like, we have this forum and this, you know, but I think it should be forums for young girls and women to give them more awareness, like what you can look for. Like, is it just the white truck? Is it somebody coming up to you at the gas station saying, hey, let me pump your gas? They could be in a regular car. It's not always a white truck. You know what I mean? But it's like, just to be, because some people are, you know, book smart, if you will, but they're not, like, maybe always conscious of their surroundings. Because I know that made me more alert. Sometimes you're just there to get gas and a bag of chips. You're just there to get it. You're not looking at everything else. But when you have that on your mind and you have a female child and all of these female family members, I want to know, like, if you see a weird man or a weird woman staring at you and they're in a white van and they have this on and it's 8 of them and one, I think awareness should be taught. Because for the most part, nobody's choosing to get in a white van. No. But if I'm minding my business, pumping my gas, and somebody come behind me and just put, what, you know what I mean? Like, what can you do?
They're getting bolder. There was this lady contacted me on social media last year. Her niece had just moved here from another state. She works in one of the offices off of Fulton Industrial. She had stopped to get some gas at the raceway. They tried to come at her at the gas pump. She ran in the store. They went in the store after her. Then they called the police, and so I think that's East Point Police Department came, and they said, well, we can't do anything, they didn't touch you. So she went to work. They must have followed her to work, because when she came out of work, they were still there. That's how determined they are once they get their minds on snatching somebody. You have to be real observant of your surroundings, and it's not always men. They send women at you.
But do you, and I don't know how old you are, ma'am. You look like you're probably 25, so you how old?
33.
Bless you. I grew up, I'm going to be 50 years old this year. I remember in school, in grade school, stranger danger. Do you remember that? Yes. When did we become afraid to talk to our kids? When did we become afraid to educate our children? There should be no limit to what we would do to protect. I know there's no limit to protect my children. We have to maybe step back to some of the old values and being a little hyper vigilant, being over aware. I would rather get the phone call that there is some strange guy wanting to pump gas at a Quick Trip and find out that maybe it is just a good Samaritan, but I'm going to know who he is. I'm going to know where he goes. I'm going to have his picture, and I'm going to let him know that where your act is nice, sir, this is not what we do here. And you know what? That's that ounce of prevention we're talking about. That's the proactivity to scare the predators away from here. And granted, I know somebody's going to ask that question. It's not just about Henry County, but this is the pond that we're swimming in. So we're going to push the garbage out of our pond, and we're hopefully going to set a tone so that Clayton goes, well, hey, Henry's pushing him out. We got to push him out too. Hey, Fulton County, where are you? Rockdale, where are you? And we're all paddling in the same direction to push this trash to the garbage dump where it doesn't come back.
Awesome, great dialogue. Another question over here. Wait, let me get you a microphone. Thank you.
You know, for 25 years, this has been near and dear to me, working with sex offenders. But the thing that we had a meeting, the Wolf Wolf, we had a meeting, and we were talking about this particular situation right here, how we as women, when we're out, how do we look around to see if there is women that are in these situations, girls, women? It doesn't have to be young girls, it could be older women. Men like all kinds. That's right. And I told her, I said, a lot of times when you're in these Asian shops, and this is not profiling Asians, but when I was with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement training, we learned that when you go to these Asian shops, you look and you look at what's going on in there, because a lot of those Asian women they're here to service, not just your foot, but to service men. And you can look around at the way things go on in those shops and know that some of those women in there are being trafficked, maybe not in sex, but in a lot of other ways. They're slave to the mentality of what's going on in those shops. And a lot of them, they're grouped together in homes, not just 1, 2, 3, 4. Some of those women live 7, 8, 9, 10 deep in those homes, and they come to those shops and they work, but they don't just work in the daytime, they work at night. So I was wondering, have you all heard about any of that, or are you targeting that with the FBI in the state of Georgia? Because I know that there's a problem in the state of Florida.
That's called labor trafficking, and that is part of the human trafficking that we talk about and try to educate people on. It happens in, you're talking about nail salons, correct? It also happens in massage parlors all up and down Buford Highway. It's very prevalent, but they also happen on farms here. It happens in every industry, but labor trafficking is real. It is real. And I think we put so much emphasis on the sexual part of it that we tend to forget that people are working against their will and not being paid, and sometimes not being fed. So labor trafficking is real, and we do try to educate against that as well. Don't take a job if you don't fill out any paperwork. Don't take the, you know, there's a whole list of things. We have tools that we use. And when I say a tool, I mean a check sheet and evaluation, things that we use to educate when we speak to people.
And to piggyback off that, 4 years ago, no more, 5 years ago, when the notion of human trafficking, before it was the buzzword, Henry County started building the resource. We started taking the classes. We've got a lot of support. Commissioner Holmes, Commissioner Clemens, they know me pretty well, and they have given us the support. And every year we're building. So the last time I was here, it was me and one other person. Now I'm coming back, now there's 4 of us. Give me 6 months. Give me 5. Give me 6. Give me 2 more detectives. Let's do this. The more we have is the ability to do these things. We are aware of the massage parlor stuff. We are aware of the labor trafficking. And I'll do you one, hotels. Hotels. The lady that comes and cleans your room, is she employed by the hotel making at least minimum wage or more and working her 8-hour shift? Or is this somebody that's been sold into servitude? How do you tell? I speak Spanglish. I know enough to be polite. So we grab one of our officers who is fluent in Spanish, and we can ask the questions we need to ask, because the language barrier is just that. It's a barrier. If I can't communicate with you my intentions or my want or your problem to me, that's how they benefit from it. Finding people that don't have a grasp of our language, and it doesn't matter where they're from Russia, Prague, from Serbia, Indonesia, pick a place. If we can't communicate, they can't ask for help, and we can't tell them we're here to help. And they are brought in on a whole different level of psychological. The police aren't here to help you. They're going to deport you back to your country. They're going to do this. You're going to go to jail. You'll be in this. You'll be in that. And these people are terrified. They're terrified that the people that took them are going to harm them. And then they make them terrified of us who want to help them. They think we're the enemy too. So again, we have to expand our resources. We have to continue to up our manpower, because the more people you have, the more ability you have to reach more things, go more places, and do more things.
I'm not sure, this mic is working. Okay, so another thing as the community, going back to the basics, being our brother's keeper or our sister's keeper, having just regular conversation, you'd be surprised. You go to the nail shop regularly, different days of the week, and that girl there every day. You ever talk to, when you off? Sis, when is your day off? And she don't have a day off, and just general conversation. You'd be surprised what you pull out of people. A vulnerable person will talk. So being friendly, being kind. I used to own a boutique off of Highway 85. I would say that selling those dresses and clothes in the boutique was just a vehicle to really just connect with women. They'd come in there and sit on my couch for hours sometimes. Strangers, I don't know these people. And they would talk. So just being open to talking to people. I mean, at the end of the day, we establish relationships with people in our community. So whether it's the mailman, the mail lady, or the nail man or nail lady, if you just talk to them, you'd be surprised what they tell you. And you can put two and two together. And at that time, like he was saying earlier, call the police. I'd rather you call the police and be flat wrong.
Yes, every day of the
That's
week.
okay. That's not a crime. You're not wasting time. Then for you to not call, and we have a life lost, or whatever else. So just be your brother's keeper, be your sister's keeper. Be okay with making conversations as adults with strangers. Of course, we don't want our children. My son would say that all the time when he was little, because I would always stress to him about not talking to strangers, but he'd see me doing it. Mommy, is that your friend? So, within reason, of course. As an adult, we have a little bit better, we can tell a little bit different, so we don't encourage our children, more or less, but as adults.
I know human trafficking is a hard subject to breach with your 12-year-old or your 9-year-old, but it's one you must have, because there are 12 and 9-year-olds out there that are made to have sex 30 to 100 times a day against their will. Don't let that be your child or your niece or your daughter. We talk to them now, for their vulnerability doesn't make them a victim later. It's important. I can't imagine waking up every day just wanting to die and can't get out of here. I'm in a cage or in a house or an apartment that's locked. And I know in the back of my mind I'll never see my mother again or my father again. And I don't know these stinky fat men on top. It's just a horrible thought. You gotta think it all the way through and say, it's okay to talk to these girls about this. Unfortunately, we must talk to them about it so they're not that victim.
Okay, I think we have one more question or comment. And I guess as I'm walking over here to Miss Jules, just the passion that I hear in this room, definitely if you guys are on Facebook, the passion. One of the things that has been a message across the board is mentoring. You guys are talking about, am I my brother's keeper or my sister's keeper? And being out here mentoring, sharing with our children topics like this, those difficult topics. And so definitely here in this community, I know Commissioner Clemens does a lot, mentoring program. Definitely we have a youth foundation where we focus with young women and young men, middle school through high school. We talk about different options for you and getting them to be comfortable talking to someone who's not necessarily your parent. So if you are interested in mentoring, that's such a big thing as well from a preventive perspective. So I know with the Bruce Holmes Youth Foundation, we spend a lot of times, we've had the Henry County Police, we've talked to them about drugs. So those are those topics that you definitely want to make sure that you're speaking to beforehand and instilling those things into our children when they're younger. So just wanted to share that with the group. I think that's a powerful message as well. Ms. Jules.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that the mic's not working for.
Okay, I'm sitting here listening, and I'm gonna be honest. I was molested when I was young, and it did go with me for a long time. But I have a beautiful daughter who's just turned 27 2 days ago, and I'm always telling her, you don't need to be running around by yourself at night. You don't need to be, And I come from a very strong family of men, and the women are strong because we were around the strong men. So we don't think people can hurt us, but they can. Been a victim of that too. So what I'm sitting here thinking about is, she's not listening to me when I'm telling her about that, and I have a big following on Facebook, so I wanted to find out something like this that's brief, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, that I could share on my Facebook page, because people are gonna look at it if I say something that I can get other young ladies to look at. That's what I need from you all. Okay. Well, I do want to get you on Facebook Live.
Can you talk to us, I'll make this the last one, a little bit about laws and policies in the legislation in Georgia that we need to address or that we can get behind you and support? You know, I don't know if there are laws that you're looking at that need to change, that we need to advocate for when it comes to human trafficking.
Commissioner Clemens, thank you. Again, we have SR 499, it's a resolution, and then we have State Senate Resolution 432, which was passed this year. Well, last year, I'm sorry. And then, you know, we put the bill on the floor for Georgia Against Human Cargo. And the First Lady decided that she wanted another bill called the Commercial Transportation of Humans Through Georgia, and she added a penalty to it. But I want to go a step further. So when trucks go into a weigh station, they don't check to see what's in the truck. They just weigh it to make sure that it's weighed according to the bill of lading. So, like I talked to Taylor about this, like they have heat sensors. We need to have heat sensors put at some of them so we can see if I don't care if it's cows, mules, or pigs in there, but it could be humans. So if we're doing the heat sensoring, then we can determine what's in it. It could be checked further. It's further and it's called preventive policing or preventive, you know, we just need to make sure that when those trucks go through, they're just not rolling through for weight. We want to take a heat sensor and make sure that if it's something living on there, we need to check to see if it's a human. That's the bill that I'm writing this year. So thanks for asking.
And they were talking about the app for the phones. To download an app is that quick. So now let's add to what we're putting in hotels and what we're putting in Walmarts and Waffle House bathrooms. Now there's a link on here for this app that gives us an alert that allows us to intercede before it goes any further, or to stop it where it's at. We've been talking about your app now 3 years, I think. That's where we need to now get behind Pink Boots on the ground. They are coming up with something tangible, something for this generation. We're app people. How many apps do you have on your phone right now? Too many. This is what I'm saying. These are all the things that we're all working in. We all have a different piece of the puzzle. That piece of the puzzle fits with our piece of the puzzle. That app calls us, we get involved. Getting like the biometric or the heat sensors at the weigh stations. They have, what's the name of the unit that does the highway enforcement for trucks? Motor carrier compliance. Those are the people we definitely want to make friends with too, where my traffic knowledge is basic. I was never a big traffic guy. The motor carrier compliance guys are samurai with traffic law. That's their bread and butter every day. Getting them to work with us and building that relationship with the resources from Pink Boots on the ground, from our commissioners, from our community. Let's put the puzzle together. Let's see the positive picture once we can get all the pieces together.
Thank you, Officer Patella. You've always been a supporter, but the Pink Boots app is going to change the way that human trafficking, not just human trafficking, but sexual assault victims connect to safety and rescue. Because there's so many college students that are being date raped. There's so many girlfriends that are, even people that are just being sexually assaulted. If they had Pink Boots, they'd be connecting to the Match Task Force because Taylor says it's going to work. FBI agent Taylor Derber said our app is applicable. It's going to work. More than the hotline. The hotline, you call the number, and I love that the hotline is in existence because if it wasn't, there'd be more people that hadn't been saved. But you call the hotline, then they've got to call somebody else. It's got to call somebody else. With Pink Boots, you get directly responded to by the first responders. It goes directly to the police, to the FBI.
And the handout that you all were given, House Bill 141, do you all have that in your hand, in your possession? That's something that you can get familiar with today, now. So when you're out and about, is this anyone's first time ever seeing that?
That's it. There's several versions of this. There's several different posters of this particular bill.
And it unfortunately, not at any fault of you all's, but it should not be your first time seeing this if you've been in a public place before. It should be posted in restrooms of most public facilities, such as restaurants, gas stations, really high traffic areas, hotels. So if you go in a facility and don't see one, ask to speak to the manager and hold them accountable. Tell them that it is law that sign is posted. So that's something that we can do today, now. And again, knowledge is power. You may have not have known yesterday, but now that you do, we hold ourselves accountable and simply ask. If they don't have it, you can tell them to contact Pink Boots on the Ground. We can email them a copy, take copies. We do that as well. We go out into the community and supply copies. But it's law. They can be reported for that, and the penalty can be anything from a warning to a fine. So that's something we can do today.
And there's also a resource group called the Blue Campaign that you can reach out to them, and they provide you with these exact things and posters and stuff. And we've used the Blue Campaign before effectively to get these literally free resource materials to start putting up and going to hotels and saying just that. Hey, we noticed you didn't have this in your bathroom. Are you aware of this law? Let me show you this. In fact, hang on. Let me provide you with the free poster to put in your bathroom. And that makes a difference.
Because that one bathroom could be the one the girl runs into, and there's no House Bill 141. She got the chance to get away. She's in the restroom, and there's no information.
And don't look at, oh, this is a plush, nice hotel. We're at the Ritz-Carlton or even an Embassy Suites or something. Don't just think it happens in the extended stays or the motels or like we were saying earlier, it's no face to it. It doesn't look like anything, whether it's the victim or the trafficker or the location.
Yes, that's House Bill 141. It is.
You can make copies of that.
Or I can bring you some, Commissioner Clemens. I'll bring you some of the original ones from the state.
Okay. Awesome questions. We're going to go ahead and turn it back over to Commissioner Holmes. Before we do that, can we give our panelists and all the people that ask questions a round of applause, please? Great dialogue, great information. Thank you.
Thanks everybody. I told you it would be very informative and that you would get a lot of great information from this forum. So I want to thank everybody for being here today. I also want to say, I heard Commissioner Clemens say she was a member of Wolf Wolf. I am a member of Wolf Wolf as well, even though I'm a male. But I want to give a special thank you to the Henry County Police Department for being here. These guys are phenomenal. Give them a round of applause. Each and every one of them have been up all night long fighting crime to keep you safe. And they're here today to provide much needed information to our community. And then I want to give another special thanks to the Pink Boots crew. Thank you. They always have a wealth of information, and this is real, folks. This is real. The more information we can get out to the community, the more youth we can save. So please, if you have anybody that you know, please provide the information, spread it around our community. Let's save as many kids as we can. So thank you, Pastor Leapart. Thank you to New Hope Cathedral. This was actually Pastor Leapart's idea, and I just want to thank him for the invite. This church has been very active in the community for a number of years, and based on that activism, I became a member a number of months ago. But when they marched last year for Black Lives Matter, that helped me make my decision to become a member. And I told Commissioner Clemens, I said, man, Pastor Leapart lives in District 2. I'm gonna try to get him up to District 5 if she doesn't join the church. But thanks everybody for coming out. Another great forum, and you all are beautiful. Have a wonderful weekend, and go Detroit Lions. Oh, we didn't make it again. Thank you.